Okay, buyers, you vetted the property. Now it's time to negotiate the contingency removals and what to be concerned about. So we're going to do that from start to finish. In this video, I'm William Smith with the William Smith Luxury Group at Coldwell Banker Realty in Carmel, California. Let's get started. So now you're looking through the different properties that you've seen. Most good listing agents will get their sellers to have a disclosure package. I call it a power pack. So that power pack includes your inspections, it includes your disclosures, and it gives you the opportunity to know what the preliminary title report looks like, underlying things like the conditions, covenant, and restrictions of a neighborhood, the homeowners association, HOA documents, and make sure that you can do what you want to. Let's say you want to put a swimming pool in, and you find out that you're in the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District area, and there's no water available for you. You need to know that before you start negotiating on a property. One case I heard of, the lot was too small to put the swimming pool size that they wanted to, but the listing agent had advertised that the lot was bigger. Well, you need to find out in the description of the property with the county records just how big that lot is so you can do the things that you want to do. So get the property vetted better than you have been able to do in the last 2 years. And that's something that this market, with the higher interest rates, it's increased the inventory, lengthen the market times. It's still a bit of a seller's market because we are still short of some inventory, but you at least have a time to take a deep breath and say, okay, I'm ready to make the commitment to this property. And when you're doing your investigations, you can find out a lot of these important questions. So make sure that you have all of the information you can get prior to making your offer. And when you do make your offer, and make sure that you are faithful to the negotiation process. Meaning, make a reasonable offer, understand that the seller may not agree with your price, they'll counter you. You make your offer on a residential purchase agreement, they'll make their first response to you on the seller counteroffer number 1, and then you'll make a response to them if you don't accept it on a buyer counteroffer number 1. And if they don't like your offer, they'll come back with a seller counteroffer number 2. And if you don't like that, it's buyer counteroffer number 2, and so on. So I've had negotiations go back and forth over several weeks, even several months sometimes. And as long as the buyer agent and the listing agent, the buyer and seller are focused on making the negotiation work, and there's a deal there, it will work. Now, obviously, if it's not a good fit, if you have found out what you need to find out about the property and you've put in your highest and best, let the listing agent know and then move on to the next property. So the negotiations go on, but let's say that you've found the property, you've made the negotiations, you have a fully ratified contract, and you take it to the escrow company. Now, the escrow company is going to ask you to follow the timeline of the contract in the California Association of Realtors contract. It's basically you need to have your earnest money deposit put into the escrow within 3 days after the close of escrow. You need to make sure that you have your financing started someplace within 7 days, and then you have 17 days to do your inspections, to make sure that you have your financing approved, make sure that you have your appraisal, and make sure the property meets your needs while you inspect it, because you'll find out things about the property during those 17 days inspection period. So let's say that the 17 days has completed and you have discovered some things that you don't like about the property and you need to go ahead and renegotiate some of it. What does that mean? Well, you've got a report that said there was something underneath the house that you should check. That was in the home inspection, and now you got somebody to go there and check it a little bit more. Somebody that did some checking of the engineering, the foundation. Maybe there was some plumbing leak that had some evidence, but you had to dig a little deeper to find out. And now you've discovered that it's $17,000 to repair the unknown problem. And now you're going to ask the seller in a request for repairs, it's called an RR form, a request for repairs, and you're going to then ask them to pay that $17,000 and get it repaired, or to discount the price $17,000, or credit you the $17,000 so that you can move on. Now, the seller might say, well, wait a minute. It was in the home inspection that there was this leak. We negotiated an as-is property. This is a used house, not a new house. We're going to stick with the price. And they said, well, wait a minute. We'll give you $5,000 credit toward your closing costs. I'll give you more money up front, so then you can go ahead and do the repairs yourself when you do the rest of the remodel you're doing on this older house. Well, the buyers say, well, wait a minute. I don't know what to do because we don't have enough to do the things that we want to do. And the negotiation goes back and forth. But let's say that you come to terms. You've gone to the seller response for the buyer request for repairs. That's an RR form. And now everybody's agreed, and it's going to be $7,000 that the seller's going to credit at the close of escrow, and the buyer's going to take on the responsibility of fixing the work. So that now is done. And let's say it's around day 17 that the negotiation started. Now it's day 19 of the 30-day escrow. And you're ready to get everything else done. The appraisal came in right. The contingencies have been removed. And now your property has gone to pending status. So when it was active status. When it was contingent upon the investigation and the loan approval and the appraisal, that was active contingent. And that still shows up online. Outlets like Realtor.com or Zillow will have it that it's a contingent sale. But when it goes pending, I know in Zillow it doesn't show up anymore. People call up and say, well, why isn't it on Zillow anymore? Is it back available? It is pending, and when it closes, it'll reappear online as a closed escrow, and you'll have an opportunity to know what the sales price was. So now you've gotten everything done, and you're just waiting for the bank to get the final loan docs sent to you. The documents are on their way. They're going to be signed by you. A mobile notary is going to find you at your home, at your office, or at a public place. And let's say you don't live in town. Let's say the seller doesn't live in town. The mobile notaries will get that information back to the escrow company. And here in Central and Northern California, the title companies and the escrow companies are usually the same. I know that in Southern California, they usually are separate. You have an escrow company, and then you have a different title insurance company. Well, we have a title and escrow, and in our area, the popular ones are Old Republic Title and Chicago Title. So with that, we've got the documents being readied. All the last minute things are going to be done. If there were going to be some repairs, they're going to be done. And now we get to the close of escrow. So with all of that, I want to invite you to write your questions or comments in the comment section. And thank you very much for joining me, William Smith, from the William Smith Lecture Group at Coldwell Banker Realty in Carmel, California, here on our YouTube channel. If you like what you see, like, subscribe, and share. Thank you very much. See you next time.